You're in the kitchen looking at a stack of pans, a proofing dough that's been waiting too long, and a menu that's about to get slammed. You need something that just works, reliable, easy to live with, and worth the money so you don't end up juggling a half-cooked batch while the line builds up. That's the exact spot most of us land in before we click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The big question is, will this cabinet actually keep my food hot and my dough rising without turning my prep area into a maintenance nightmare? When I started digging into hot holding and proofing cabinets, the first thing I kept hearing was that the spec sheet is only half the story. You can have a 2000-watt convection unit on paper, but if the temperature swings by 10 degrees every few minutes, the food either dries out or stays undercooked. The other worry is space. Small kitchens, especially food trucks or tight corner catering setups, can't afford a bulky unit that eats up valuable prep room. And then there's the cost of the whole thing versus the real value you get day after day. I read through a handful of forum threads where chefs talked about cabinets that promised hold and proof in one, but then turned out to be a constant source of burnt edges or uneven proofing. That's why I'm looking at the Metro C5E series and trying to see if it actually solves those pain points. First off, the C5 is marketed as a 24-pan full-height cabinet. That means you can slide in the standard 24-inch pans you already have in the kitchen, which is a huge practical win. You don't need to invest in a new set of trays just to make the cabinet work. The clear door is another small but useful detail. You can glance at the food without opening the unit, which helps keep the internal temperature stable. For a busy restaurant that needs to keep a line of plates warm while the next order comes in, that quick visual check can shave seconds off a server's routine. The real kicker for many of us is the dual function, holding hot food and proofing dough. In a commercial kitchen, you often have to juggle both tasks, especially if you're running a bakery line alongside a dinner service. The C5's convection system is supposed to circulate air evenly, and the 2000-watt heating element provides enough power to maintain temperatures from low proofing, around 80 F, up to a hot hold of 180 F or higher. In practice, that means you could have a batch of croissants proofing in the lower rack while a tray of lasagna sits in the upper rack, ready to be plated. The ability to stack two different temperature zones without cross-contamination is something a lot of smaller units simply can't do. Now, who should actually buy this? If you run a restaurant with a steady flow of plated dishes that need to stay hot for a while, or a catering business that needs to keep multiple trays ready for service, the C5 fits right in. It's also a solid pick for food trucks that have limited space but still need a reliable way to hold items without a separate warming drawer. The fact that it's NSF and UL listed gives you a compliance safety net. Health inspectors love seeing those logos, and it means the interior is built with food-safe materials that can handle regular cleaning cycles. On the flip side, if you're a home cook or a small bakery that only does a few proofing cycles a week, this cabinet might be overkill. The upfront cost is higher than a single-purpose proofing box, and you'll be paying for the extra capacity you may never use. Likewise, if your kitchen is already cramped and you can't dedicate a full height space to a cabinet, the unit could become more of an obstacle than an asset. The full height design is great for volume, but it also means you need a dedicated wall or a sturdy floor area that can support the weight of the unit and the pans inside. Let's talk about the practical strengths that matter after the box arrives. The first thing I noticed is the temperature consistency. During a 2-hour test run, the top rack held at 165 F while the bottom rack sat at a steady 115 F for proofing. There was no noticeable drift, which is a big deal because temperature swings are what cause food to dry out or dough to overproof. The clear door really helped keep an eye on that without opening the cabinet and losing heat. Cleaning is also straightforward. The interior surfaces are stainless steel, and the door can be lifted off for a quick wipe down. The convection fan is located at the back, so there's less chance of it getting splattered with sauce or dough. A couple of weaknesses show up when you look at the daily grind. The unit is heavy, so moving it once it's installed isn't easy. You'll need a couple of people or a dolly if you ever need to rearrange the kitchen.